It's the present day, a normal day unlike any other. Quiet, uninteresting, stale. As you get ready for your quiet, boring day, you glance out your window and see something not so quiet, not so uninteresting. A struggle, followed by blood. You just witnessed a murder. Your boring, mundane life just got interesting, and it's the least of your troubles. This is the setup for the episode The Witness in the Netflix series Love, Death, and Robots, an animated anthology show that takes beautiful art in all different mediums, blending it with sci-fi or horror themes, and adding excellent voice casting to make some of the most mind-bending, visually spectacular animations that Netflix has to offer. This show has a mix of both original stories and adaptations from well-known short stories. The Witness, however, is an original short story written and directed by Alberto Mielgo, a man whose work speaks for itself. He's either directed or had a hand in creating some pretty amazing visuals in mostly short animations. Along with today's story, he's also worked on such projects as Corpse Bride, Tron Uprising, The Windshield Wiper, which won him an Academy Award for Best Animated Short, and Jabaro, another Love, Death, and Robots episode I'd love to cover one day. But what is it about The Witness, this one specific episode, that makes it so great? Well, if you've seen the episode, you already know, but for those who don't, I suggest going and watching the episode right now on Netflix. It's only about 12 minutes long, so it's a pretty quick watch, but there is a lot of questions in those 12 minutes. Just be warned that this episode can get pretty graphic visually, so don't go turn it on in the family room sitting right next to Nana. That will be a very uncomfortable conversation afterwards. We open with a young woman who is simply credited as the woman, applying lipstick when she overhears from her open window a commotion going on across the street in the opposite apartment building to hers. Inside the apartment, a man who is only known as the Man has just killed someone and is now standing over the body with blood on his face and clothes. The woman, not knowing what's going on, closes her window, which catches the man's attention, and the two lock eyes from across the road. The man realizes that the woman he's looking at looks exactly like the woman he just killed. The woman, fearing for her life, rushes out of her room, as well as the man rushing out of his to chase after her. Luckily, the woman is able to hail a taxi before she's caught. She calls the police to report the murder, but tries not to give any details, possibly because she was doing her own illegal activity at the hotel. Not passing judgment, just making the observation. That's an interesting flavor. She starts to relax in the taxi, thinking she's safe, but unaware to her, the man follows her in a second taxi all the way to her place of work, which seems to be some kind of fetish strip club brothel. The woman goes to a changing room to get ready for her performance, unaware the man has followed her there. He enters the club and is seated on a couch next to two people clad in what look like leather gimp suits. The show starts and the woman comes out and starts dancing, but doesn't notice the man sitting and watching her. He's being seduced and distracted by the two people sitting on the couch with him, but after a moment of dancing and distractions, the woman and man finally notice each other and the chase is back on. The woman heads to her boss's office, where she finds her boss heavily medicated and starts rummaging through his things and finds a handgun to protect herself. She leaves the office but is met right outside by the man. She hurls her belongings at him to slow him down as she runs off, trying desperately to escape this dangerous man. They run through the streets, and several times the man calls out to the woman to stop and please listen. The woman, of course, fearing for her life, is having none of this and makes her way into an apartment building. She begins going up the levels of the apartment, pounding on the doors, trying to get anyone's attention, but no one is answering. She then makes her way into an unlocked apartment where it seems safe for the moment, but then she can hear footsteps coming up the stairs, then down the hallway, then right outside the door. The door slowly opens, and there stands the man. He tries again to talk to her, but the woman has the gun drawn on him. They both freeze for a second when the man finally lunges out at the woman, and they begin to wrestle for the gun. A few shots are fired and the commotion finally stops. Here we see a very familiar setting, framed a very familiar way. Standing over a dead body in the same room, trying to catch her breath, we find the woman has murdered the man. Snapped from her daze, she hears the sound of a window closing that catches her attention. She looks out of the apartment window, where she sees the man staring back at her, the man she just killed. It's the exact same scenario about to replay itself, now with the roles reversed. One of the symbols used for this episode's description is the snake eating its own tail, which can mean infinite or eternal cycle, implying that the scene is on a loop. The woman or man commit the murder against the other while the other witnesses the murder. The witness runs in fear until they are cornered in an apartment building by the murderer. The witness kills the murderer and starts the cycle as the new murderer, with the previous murderer now being the witness. How badly did I butcher that? There's something about the story that just gives me the creeps. Not the being chased through the street by a strange person, and no, not the fetish club. But the idea of being stuck in an infinite loop. Not only that, but the people seem to be unaware that they are in a loop to begin with. There's just so many unknowns in this story. It's never explained how the loop was started, or how these two people were put in the situation of an alternating loop, or if they could ever even escape it. Although in my opinion, it definitely seems like only one person can make it out of the loop alive. When does the loop actually start? Because at the start of the episode, the woman is clearly going about her day like it's perfectly normal. There's just so many questions that don't get answered, but that's the point. The story is designed to be a cup that we, the viewer, fill with our imagination, which is something I absolutely love. Why spoon feed me the answers when I can become part of the story myself and just create all new answers? Alberto Mielgo does such a great job here, giving us a great story with so little information. That's just good storytelling right there. In making this video, I rewatched the episode several times, and one thing I never noticed is that in the hotel room when the woman first spots the murder, there's a man asleep in her hotel room, which many believe to be the man who she is running from throughout the story. And that makes so much sense when you think about it. I had always assumed that she was just running for her life like any normal person would do, but what if the person chasing you was the person you had just spent the night with, and you just found out they were a murderer this whole time? Makes it just a little bit more terrifying when you think about it. It also explains why she flat out refuses to hear him out when he pleads multiple times for her to listen. She's so confused and shocked about the situation that she's basically just reacting to the situation around her at this point. There's a murderer chasing you and you need to get to safety. Nothing else matters. The man also being the one in the hotel room makes sense as it ties these two characters together. It's not just two random people plugged into this random horrifying loop. These people know each other or have a history. Even if it's a very brief and recent history, we don't know for sure. It's left up to us to decide. Just a tiny sprinkle of extra information for our imaginations to run with. In the end, we'll never know what happens to the man and the woman. Do they finally figure out what's happening? Does one finally get through to the other and they work together to break free of this endless cycle? Or are they still trapped running for their lives, again and again and again and again and again and again and again? Hello everyone, and thank you so much for watching this video. If you did, I really do appreciate it. I mean that so much. If you like this video and could drop a like too, that would be greatly appreciated as well. So when it comes to TV, in my opinion, nothing beats anthology horror or sci-fi. It's just a great genre of media, usually because the stories in them have to be told very well, or there has to be an interesting narrative, because you don't get multiple episodes or a long runtime to tell your story. It has to be good, and all the information or details you want to give truly have to be represented or depicted well, because you really only have minutes to tell the story you want to tell. That's why shows like Twilight Zone and Black Mirror, Love, Death and Robots, and Oat Studios are all such fascinating shows that have such amazing stories to tell. So I'll definitely be coming back to these shows again soon. But for now, that's it for this video. Hope you all have a good week, and see you next time with a new story to share. Bye.